Hi, my name is Paul Toby. Welcome to today's That's Ambitious training. Today, we are going to be answering 5 important questions. And those questions are to do with success and business and all kinds of cool things. So that's what we're going to be doing today. There's 5 different segments to today's course. And I think it's important that we understand the purpose before we get started. See if I can fix this little thing here for a second, and we'll just get underway in just a moment. So if you notice, there is a chat area. I've already posted something in there called Welcome to Today's Training. Please let me know you're here and get started. Please quickly go and find that chat area and just let me know that you're listening and that you're with me. Hi, Yvonne. We're going to get started in just a second. Just getting some technical stuff going here. Making sure that everything is cool. Okay, so each of these segments is going to be 10 minutes. We're going to take a little break in between each segment. And if you have any questions or comments as we're going along, I'll try to handle them. But essentially, questions and chat can happen in the quick breaks in between each session. So here we go. So what is the purpose of the Camino de Santiago? So essentially, I've walked it a couple of times, and from my perspective, it is a great thing to do, and there is a lot of opportunity there. But people wonder often, why would I do this, and what is the purpose? And that is what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm going to first share my experience on the Camino de Santiago, and then I'm going to share a quick video with you. Hopefully I'll have the opportunity to find that video. I forgot to queue it up before we got started, but I will find it and post it as soon as I can. So my experience on the Camino de Santiago, in talking with many people along the road and before and afterwards, everybody has a different experience. So here are some of the main ones that people, main purposes that people use to walk the Camino. So the first one is a pretty obvious one. It's because of adventure. Most people like to have fun. They like to go hiking, and it is a pretty long walk. We're talking about 850 kilometers to Santiago de Compostela, and then another 100 or so kilometers to the coastline. And altogether, with in between walking, you're talking about 1,000-kilometer journey. And that is really a big adventure. And many people are seeking that in their vacation. And while many people can't take a month and a half off to go walk the Camino de Santiago, it's still one of the top reasons why people do it. The next one is interesting because I do believe, in talking with many people, that they do this journey to lose weight. Is it a good weight loss plan? The answer is absolutely. I have done it a couple times, and each time I come back, people always remark at how much weight I've lost, even though that wasn't the purpose for doing it myself. There is a problem, however, if you tend to eat a lot of the pilgrim diet, which is bread, wine, and cheese. Of course, it is Spain, so that's kind of everybody's diet. And if you are committed to losing weight, then you might want to think about cutting back on the bread, wine, and cheese and eating other things that are perhaps a little bit more healthy. And because of the amount of energy that you're putting out every day, you're walking approximately 6 to 10 hours per day. And in the beginning, you might get hurt because your body's not used to that. But once it does get used to it, the weight comes off pretty significantly. So that's one big reason why people walk the Camino. The next one is to heal. Now, there are a lot of healing properties in the Camino. It is definitely a spiritual journey, and if you're going there to heal from an injury, heal from an illness, or even heal emotionally, then that is a very popular reason to walk the Camino de Santiago. Does it actually heal? I've seen many people being healed from many things over the years, and it is quite remarkable. Back in the early days when people used to walk to Santiago, and then they had to walk back because, of course, they couldn't hop a plane and go back to where they came from. But many people walk it to heal from physical injury and illness. Number 4, because you don't know what to do next with your life. That's the reason why I walked it the first time, because I was coming out of the music business, and I didn't really know what to do with the rest of my life. And I had to figure out what I wanted and what my life was going to look like. And fortunately for me, I figured that out, started a business, and things have been very different ever since. So anybody who doesn't know what they want to do with the rest of their life, that's a good thing to do. So next is a spiritual journey. The Camino de Santiago is definitely a spiritual journey. There is no other words for it. It is different for everyone. But if you're going there to get in touch with universal law or your creator, then since the dawn of mankind, or actually since the death of Christ, this Camino has become very popular amongst many people. And so it is definitely a spiritual journey, not just for the Christian faith, but for any faith. And it is very popular as such. So now what I want to do is I want to share with you a video about my journey, which you may have seen before, but I'm going to share it again. And just give me a second to find that, and I'll post it momentarily. So I'm just going to ask you to stand by while I find it, because I forgot to queue it up, and I'll get it in just a second. So that's a little bit about my Camino de Santiago experience and the outcome for me. What is it that's holding you back from your Carnegie Hall was the question that I ended with, and that may be one of the purposes of the Camino de Santiago. So we're going to take a quick break while I load up our next question. So today we're talking about why isn't the law of attraction working for me? And this is a question that gets asked a lot, not just to me and my colleagues, but also on Google and YouTube. And people want to know, why isn't the law of attraction working for me? And that's what we're going to talk about in this session. So the question is, why isn't the law of attraction working for me? Well, there's 4 critical elements to leveraging the law of attraction. And I think you need to know why it's not working, and here are the reasons it's not working: because you don't want it enough. Everybody wants something, and that's not the reason it's not working. Everybody wants something. Everybody strives for success, and this is not the reason why the law of attraction is not working. It's also not working because you're not intelligent enough. No, that's not the reason. The law of attraction works for people who are intelligent. The law of attraction works for people who are worthy. So if you think you're not worthy and the law of attraction doesn't work for you, then that's not true either. And maybe perhaps you think it's just fate. No, the law of attraction is working all the time, and fate has nothing to do with it. So these are not the reasons why the law of attraction does not work. You may also think that somebody else has what you want already, and that's not true. There's enough for everyone. There is an abundance in the universe and something for everyone. And so that's also not the reason. The reason why the law of attraction may not be working for you is because you're holding yourself in a vibrational holding pattern that does not match the vibration that you desire. So think of it like this. Just like a radio station, when you tune your radio station to Jazz FM 91.1, I'm sure you have enough common sense to know that you're not going to hear 108 or 102 or sorry, 1 or 98.1 or whatever it is. You tune to that radio station, it's broadcasting at a frequency that you expect to hear that specific radio station, not another radio station. Well, the law of attraction is just like that. Your frequency that you're vibrating at does not match the vibration that you desire. And that's the only reason why it doesn't work, ever. It's because your vibrational holding pattern is not the same vibration as whatever it is you desire. So if you want it to work, and by the way, it's always working whether you believe that or not. So it can work against you or it can work for you, but it's always working. So the first thing you must do is gently and gradually release any resistant thoughts. Resistance means any thoughts of negativity, worry, fear, or doubt. And you need to understand that you and source energy are the same. There is no separation whatsoever. Source energy being the energy of the universe. You may think of it as your creator. There is no separation between those two. And you emit an energy frequency that is never separated from source energy. The reason why you may not be attracting the life that you want is because you don't recognize that you do and you are connected to source energy and you don't know how to leverage it. Your physical resistance is the only thing that can separate you from source energy. Resistance being any thoughts of negativity, worry, fear, doubt, things like that. So learning the science of deliberate creation is the releasing of resistance, meaning your thought patterns, which are resistant, worry, fear, doubt, anxiety, overwhelmment, frustration, anger. Deliberate creation is the ability to create the life that you want by releasing all of that and not focusing on what you don't want. So here is the laundry list of things that I don't want. If you continue to focus on problems and the things that you don't want, that's what you will continue to attract. So yes, the law of attraction is working, it's just working against you. So you need to put yourself into the vibration of receiving. I am open to the receiving of these gifts. I always say this, I'm a good giver, but I'm an excellent receiver. So what goes around comes around, but for every giver, you absolutely need a receiver. So putting yourself into the vibration of receiving is one way to leverage the law of attraction in your favor. All desire is the beginning of the law of attraction. Desire meaning, what is it that I want to do, be, or have in my life that I do not have right now? And that is the beginning, only the beginning, because if you continue to focus on what you do not want to do, you do not want to be, and you do not want to have, you will continue to attract those things. The law of attraction does not know the difference between what you want and what you don't want. It only gives you what you put your focus on. But being grateful for what you have and yet eagerly anticipating more is the next level of leveraging the law of attraction. In other words, I am grateful for what I have, but I am eagerly anticipating and enthusiastic about what's to come. That is vibrating at a frequency that can attract the life that you want. The things that hinder receiving are things like impatience. I really want it now. I need it. This must happen. That is impatience. This is contrary to the positive side of the law of attraction. Feelings of unworthiness. In other words, I don't really deserve it. This hinders the law of attraction. I absolutely doubt that I'm going to get there. I believe I'm going to fail. I'm going to try not to fail. All of those our doubt. Trying not to fail is not the same as anticipating a win. That which hastens receiving is gratitude. I am grateful for what I have now while eagerly anticipating more. The concept of generosity, what goes around comes around. I always believe that being generous before you have is one way to activate the law of attraction. I give not anticipating receiving, but when it comes, I am an excellent receiver. Enthusiasm, which is the formula of enjoyment plus big goal. That is being enthusiastic about your life and the things to come. Patience is also a virtue when it comes to the law of attraction. I always say in my mantras, in its own good time, followed up by for the highest good of all. So really not expecting things to happen overnight, but being totally patient. Yes, persistence is key, but anticipating the outcome before it's ready. Things will only come to you when you are ready for them, and patience is absolutely important. So that's my thoughts on why the law of attraction is not working for you. And like I said, it's a question that gets asked a lot. I hope I shared some insights into why it may not be working, which, by the way, it always is no matter what. So we're going to take a quick break while I queue up the next question. What does letting go mean? That's what we're going to be talking about today. The concept of the law of detachment and what that means to your personal and professional outcome. And we'll get to it right now. So today we're talking about the law of detachment and letting go. Some people call it the law of letting go. Some people call it, well, I can't actually remember what else they call it, but I call it the law of detachment. So for me, this is one of the most important laws. The law of attraction typically doesn't work well without the law of detachment. The two are intertwined. The law of letting go, or the law of detachment, is just as important as the law of attraction, and the law of attraction cannot work without it. This is law. And then I'm going to talk about one thing that most people think it means, which it absolutely doesn't. So people often confuse the law of letting go and the law of detachment with this thing that they believe, which is absolutely not true. So that's what we're going to discover in the end, so please stick around for that. So the first thing is fighting and struggling is exhausting. So you often hear people say, I'm going to fight through this. I'm going to fight for myself. I'm going to fight this situation. I'm going to fight. And what ends up happening is they spend so much energy, and of course, energy being one of the most important things you need to leverage, they spend it on negative actions and behaviors. And it's just absolutely not only exhausting, but is also contrary to the law of detachment. And so continuing to fight and struggle is not going to work for you no matter what. Wars never really solved anything. Number two, because it's easier to swim downstream. I'm pretty sure you have enough common sense to know that it's a lot easier to go with the flow and with the current than it is to go against it. It's similar to the concept of fighting and struggling, but a little bit different in that you always feel a sense of peace when you're going with the flow. It just seems so much easier. And when things are easier, you are activating the law of attraction. And so the law of detachment and letting go means let yourself go and go with the flow. Number three, because worry, fear, and doubt are the enemy of success. It is common and normal, and certainly the way that we've been trained to focus on our problems. I struggle with this myself sometimes. I think it's hard to get over worry, fear, and doubt. For example, recently I struggled with technology that was causing lots of problems as a hosting company. And it was only until I realized I was putting so much negative energy into fighting the system and fighting what was in front of me did I really stop and ask myself, is this the way I want to live? And as soon as I asked myself that question, I immediately put in a request to my ESP request box and said, please resolve this on my behalf. And when I asked it to be resolved, 5 minutes later, it did. Unbelievably, just like that. And I stopped worrying, I stopped doubting, and I stopped fearing the outcome. And when that happens, things tend to right themselves very quickly. Because energy is everything, and your creative magnetic energy is always working. So let me explain. Everything in the universe is made up of subatomic particles. The subatomic particles are surrounded by energy. In fact, there's more energy than there is actual solid. The distance between these subatomic particles is vast. The only reason why we see them in their form is because we've learned to see energy in a specific pattern that we can recognize, but yet the energy is always there. Our creative magnetic energy is when we use our talents and our gifts and our intelligence and our wherewithal to help and add to the energy of the universe, we are emanating at a very high frequency. I call this creative magnetic energy. It's creative because, again, you are leveraging your gifts and talents and knowledge and experience. But you're also doing that which magnetizes the same frequency and the law of attraction. It is the opposite of struggle and fear. You are utilizing your internal guidance system to draw you and draw people and situations and circumstances towards you magnetically. And this is always working, and this is always law. Because the law of least effort is real and it works. So in the beginning, I said, what do some people call it? The law of detachment, the law of letting go, but it's also the law of least effort. This means that if you do not know what to do something which is less strenuous than you would normally think. In other words, let's apply this to a specific situation like a golf swing. If you are a golfer, you would know that trying to smash the ball as far as it will go is going to create an undesirable outcome, because the way that the club head hits the ball will be forced, and it will differ in the way that it hits the ball in many ways by several millimeters. And so you may hit it really hard, but it might end up 300 yards into the woods. Golf swing means you let your arms swing versus hit, versus like a when you're talking about hitting a baseball, right? Hit it strong, hit it hard. In golf, it's kind of the opposite. And so the law of least effort is applying the least amount of effort to a specific outcome. And what happens is, more often than not, that outcome will be attracted to you quicker than if you forced it. This is the law of least effort, and it is law, and it is working all the time. The law of detachment is not this. And again, many people think it is. The law of letting go or the law of detachment is this thing that people think, and here is what it is not. It is not giving up. Giving up is the opposite of the law of letting go. Giving up means that you are frustrated and overwhelmed and pushed back, and you feel that it's time to let go and give up, and you do nothing. The law of detachment does not mean do nothing. It means be enthusiastic about using your creative energy, but yet let go of any specific outcome. Very difficult to do. It does not mean giving up. And that is my lesson on what does letting go mean. I hope you enjoyed it. So, how to stop being nervous while public speaking? Definitely a topic that gets talked about a lot. Many people fear public speaking more than they fear death, so they'd actually rather be in the coffin than giving the eulogy. But we're going to talk about 13 ways to stop being nervous while public speaking. So how to stop being nervous while public speaking? The first one you need to realize is it's very powerful physiology. What does that mean? It means that your body and the way it reacts to nervousness is a guide as to how much you're resisting your personal and professional outcome, especially in a public speaking situation. So paying attention to the fact that your heart is racing and that you're sweating and that your knees are shaking. This is a sign that you are not in the moment and you are not following all the rules of not being nervous. So the fact that these things are happening to you is actually a guide and help to you. So then once you realize that physiology, you want to breathe. Breathing is probably one of the most powerful elements of not being nervous. Taking the time in between your sentences to take a breath, to continue your presentation from a place of ease. And often breathing is associated with meditation. And obviously you need air. So that's a good thing. If you take deep breaths while you're presenting, you will often notice that your nervousness will get much, much less. Next, absolutely need to trust yourself. You know your subject. You have experience. Trusting yourself to deliver on the promise that you made your audience is one of the most important aspects of not being nervous. Number 4, stay present. Being in the moment is absolutely difficult to do, especially when you're presenting, because you're continuously thinking about, well, what does the audience feel about what I'm saying? Am I getting my point across? Am I making mistakes? Did I prepare my material enough? How do I look to others? So staying present is not that. Staying present is being in the moment, knowing your material, presenting your material, and staying in front of the audience in a real and meaningful way that is not, I hope I'm doing well. Continuously thinking about what's not going well is not staying present. Number 5, don't take anything personally. In other words, if you make a mistake or someone asks a question that you don't like, or things are happening in the way that you did not anticipate, you cannot take this personally. Mistakes are only mistakes if you make them twice. You continue to make mistakes until you stop making them, because your experience can fix mistakes. But as you're making them, please don't take that personally. That's just part of your learning journey. Number 6, say to your mind, hey, I realize I'm being nervous, but hey, mind, thanks for sharing. Thanks for telling me that. I think this is a good way of staying in the moment, staying present. Hey, thanks for sharing, and move on. Number 7, you never look as nervous as you feel. This is something that obviously gets better over time, but I've seen people in giving my Train the Trainer, and I've trained well over 500 speakers. I've seen people get very nervous or tell me that they're nervous, but they don't actually look it. In fact, often I'll turn to the audience and say, do they actually look nervous to you, even though they're saying? And the audience is like, no, I didn't even notice that. So this is one of the things that you can bank on, is that whatever level of nervousness you feel, nobody is feeling the same level as you, and that should give you pause to think, okay, since I don't look nervous, I might as well not be nervous. Number 8, I love this one. It absolutely gets easier. how does it get easier? Well, anything that is practiced, anything that you experience many times, goes into your memory banks as something you've accomplished and something that you tend to remember. On the piano, it's like muscle memory. In public speaking, it's like presentation memory. You just get good at it over time. And you do not need to worry about whether it's going to get easier. It just does. One of the things that you think about or should think about is that as many times as you do it, each time you're multiplying the memory factor by an exponential number. It's not, if I do it one more time, I only get one more time better. You get 100 times better. If I do it another time, I don't get another time better. I get 100 times better. It's just everything gets easier. Everything flows easily and effortlessly with practice. Number 9, people actually don't want you to fail. They want you to succeed. So worrying about whether you're getting your point across or whether you're doing a good job or not is not really what you should be thinking about, because the audience literally wants you to do well. They do not want you to fail. And so it is important to recognize that your nervousness comes from a place of wanting to do well, but everybody wants you to do well. And so that is a lot of energy that you can harness and leverage to not be nervous. Number 10, take the onus off you as the presenter and put it onto the audience. Make them the star. Take questions, get them to make comments, be more interactive. If you're concerned about how many PowerPoint slides that you have to get through, this is not the way to present. The audience wants to participate, and the more they do, the more you're making them the star of the moment, which takes all of the onus off of you to present well. Number 11, they don't know what you were supposed to do or say. I'm pretty sure you have enough common sense to know that if I have a point 12, you don't know what it is. Or you don't know whether I have notes or whether I don't have notes. You don't know what order things are supposed to be in. I often say to people, use less PowerPoint because it keeps you stuck to what you had intended to present. And then if you miss something, people go, or if you jump over a slide, people go, oh, I missed that slide. So staying away from putting everything onto PowerPoint is a better way of going about it, because nobody knows what you were going to do or say. And this is a way to keep from being nervous. Number 12, absolutely drink loads of water. I just happen to have lots with me. Take a drink of water, take a deep breath, and move on. Water is just like air. It's absolutely necessary and imperative to keep you from being nervous. There's no other trick to it than that. Just drink lots of it, have lots of it on hand. Absolutely do not approach any public speaking situation or video creation without water on hand. And finally, the big one is when you come from service, you cannot possibly be nervous. What does this mean? It means that your intention is to help, or if your truest, most honorable, most integral intention is to help, lead, teach, guide, inspire, motivate, educate, and essentially just help, then how can you be nervous about that? You're giving of yourself to help other people get what they want and expect from their lives. And if you truly are coming from a place of service, then you cannot possibly be nervous. And that's my thoughts on how to stop being nervous. Thank you for your time. So this will be our last topic for the day, and I'll be getting into it in just a second. Why is intellectual property important to a business? Hi, my name is Paul Toby. Thanks for coming to this quick tutorial on intellectual property. It is very important to a business, and we're going to discuss all of the reasons right after this. So the reasons why intellectual property is important to a business is because of the following. Number one, trademarks, copyright, and patents protect your personal brand. So whether that's personal brand or business brand, sometimes the two are intertwined, protecting that brand is an important step to the success of your business and keeping your business from being pilfered in the eyes of the public. So trademark, copyright, and patents are things that you need to look into in order for other people not to copy exactly what you do. If you do not protect your information and you do not protect your software, and your name and your any intellectual property that you have, then you become someone who's creating for the benefit of other people to steal what you've created. So very important to protect your brand and your business. Because IP is an asset. Intellectual property is something that makes money. And anything that makes money is considered an asset to your business. It is essentially something that you create, like software or training or a book or anything that you've created using your creative magnetic energy is an asset for your business solely, or not solely, actually, it is mostly an asset because it can make you money. Other people are willing to pay for that property. And so looking at IP is from the perspective of making money means that your business is actually revenue positive and creating sales. It's also important because licensing can provide additional sources of revenue for your business and your heirs. So let's say you run an agency. What do I mean by an agency? If you're running a digital marketing agency like we do, what we tend to do is create assets not only for our own business but for other businesses as well. But the ones that we create for our own business, such as training that people can purchase, such as books that people can purchase, such as software that people can purchase, or any type of information that helps another person or another business make money, this is an additional source of revenue on top of the services that you provide. The reason why I like it is because while you continue to give time and energy to your service business, a piece of intellectual property that you've created, you don't have to create it twice. Sometimes you may need to make it a little bit better and update it, but intellectual property like a book, for example, this book, it is something that can always generate revenue and interest for your business. So it becomes part of the assets of your business, and that you can pass on to the next purchaser or even your heirs. So a book doesn't have the value of your lifetime, it has the value of multiple lifetimes because it's in print and it can be read by many people for many, many years to come, long after you have passed. Intellectual property is important to your business because without protection, you could end up spending a fortune defending your property. So let's say I do not protect our assets, and I do not do trademark, and I do not do copyright. If people use our information and they use it to make money, it's going to cost you a lot of money to defend that information or that intellectual property. And what I mean by a lot of money is tens of thousands of dollars, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars on lawyers, when initially you could have protected it with copyright, trademark. So try to remember that you're not just protecting yourself from other people using it, you're protecting yourself from the cost that it will take to defend it, if indeed you need to defend it. It's also important because if you plan to sell your business, then IP can significantly increase the value. So let's take a look at my company, for example. When I retire, and I haven't decided on when that will be, partially because I enjoy what I do and I love what I do, and so if you love what you do, you actually never work a day in your life. But let's say I run out of energy and I want to just do other things, like maybe get better at golf or just go boating for the rest of my life. When I sell my business, part of the value of that business is the creative elements that we've put into it. So the training assets, any software that's been created, any information that has been put together in a video or book format, or again, training format, all of that becomes an asset for the new purchaser. And it can significantly increase the value of your company. Obviously, many other things like buildings and any sort of physical assets, that's important. Also the name and the brand of your company. But again, if that name or brand is not protected, then it becomes less valuable to the next purchaser. When you look at a business, the value is obviously determined on how much revenue that you're bringing in. But perhaps the way the business is now is not leveraging its intellectual property as much as the next purchaser could. So this is all factored into the purchase price. And when I say significantly increase the value, I mean could be several $100,000 for certain assets that the purchaser deems as things that they can leverage to make more revenue. So that's what intellectual property, or why intellectual property is important to your business. My belief is that always be creating. I'm just one of those people that is constantly creating assets. I've done it for a long time as a musician, and I've done it for many years as a business owner. And so I highly encourage you to take a look at the value of intellectual property and why it's important to your business. Thanks so much for your time. I look forward to seeing you again. So if you're still with me in the stream, thanks so much for hanging out with me. That was 5 questions for this version of That's Ambitious. I hope you enjoyed it. It's definitely a new way of approaching our training, and I needed to create these 5 videos anyway as intellectual property for the training business, or for the That's Ambitious channel. Just gonna take a couple of questions if there are any. If you have any questions, Lori, I don't know how long you've been here, but if you could, just reach out and say something else other than hi. So if there are no questions or comments, I'm gonna say take care. So Lori, caught most of it. Excellent. Hope there was some value there for you. I'm actually going to package up each of these different videos and make them available to you. We're going to do some editing on them as well. So I just have a question for you. Since this is the first time us doing YouTube live, I'm wondering what your experience was. Is it good quality video? Did the sound work okay? Were you able to hear the video that I played? That kind of thing. Good. I'm glad the sound quality and the picture was good. Okay, I'm gonna actually sign off. I have another meeting to get to shortly, so at quarter after, so I kind of ran over a little bit. But anyway, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I truly appreciate it. And we will try to get this edited up and into the That's Ambitious members area as soon as possible. Lori, you asked what the video was. I shared a 5-minute video in the first 10 minutes. So you would not have heard that because you joined 18 minutes in. So I'll get that up. I'll actually send out links to it once it's ready. So anyway, thanks so much for your time, everybody. I appreciate it. I got to run. And we'll see you later.